Hello, everyone. A quick shout out to Root River Jam for the pre-event music. You can hear them at the first outdoor farmers market this Saturday, May 1st from 9 to noon. We also will have a table there with some giveaways, so we would love to see you there. Welcome to Energy Efficiency for Your Business, part of the EarthFest celebration this year. This is one of the last virtual EarthFest events that the steering committee and partners have put together from a month-long lineup of events. Most virtual events this month have been recorded and can be found on our brand new website, earthfestrochestermn.org. Also, be sure to subscribe to our email list or follow us on Facebook to hear about upcoming events. Today's event has been made possible by our sponsors that you've been seeing on our pre-event slideshow, including Fresh Energy, Mayo Clinic, AARP, Conservation Minnesota, Destination Medical Center, Laguna Consulting, Minnesota Public Radio, Sierra Club North Star Chapter, Solar Connection, Christ United Methodist Church, HGA, People's Food Co-op, Rochester Area Foundation, XRG Concepts, and Zumbro Valley Autobahn. If you have technical issues as we move through today's event, please contact me, Megan Gallagher, in the chat or via email, which I have added to the chat already. Please keep your microphones off until the end when we open it up for questions. You can also submit questions in the chat, which will be monitored throughout the event. And you can turn your video on or off as you prefer. This session is being recorded and we'll be posting it to our website within the next few days. Now I will hand it over to Kevin Bright to get started with today's topic, energy efficiency for your business.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan. Let me just pull up the slide deck here. We're very excited to host this session tonight. Thank you all for being here. Let me see, toolbar's in the way. Our first speaker is Alexis Troschinetz from the UMN Extension to talk about energy opportunities for your business, and then we'll hear from two utility representatives, Josh Mason from RPU and Jen Kimmen from Minnesota Energy Resources, about incentive opportunities that go along with the energy saving opportunities that Alexis will cover today. So with that, take it away, Alexis.
Thanks, Kevin. You did a great job pronouncing my last name. It's always a doozy for some people. Thanks for joining tonight. Let's see if I'm clicking through here. There we go. So I'm just going to run through a little background on certs and some energy facts about businesses, as well as we're going to walk through energy efficiency journey from the perspective of a business, and a little teeny bit about how to fund projects with PACE. There's a little delay on my end. I'll have to prep for that a little better. CERTs here, we connect individuals and their communities to resources they need to identify and implement community-based clean energy projects. CERTs is clean energy resource teams, and I'm actually one of 8 members that sits out of our U of M St. Paul campus, and then we help statewide, but then we have the state broken up into these 7 regions. We have a regional coordinator for each region. And for Southeast CERTs, that's Chris Meyer, pictured here. And either Chris or myself are happy to help businesses through their energy efficiency journey. CERTs helps folks in a variety of ways. We have 4 partner organizations that helps with hands-on assistance, practical steps to clean energy, and learning opportunities like we're having tonight. You can learn a whole bunch more about us at cleanenergyresourceteams.org. We help all sorts of folks, including businesses, as one of our target audiences who we try to help, and the utility partners on the line tonight too. We also do a lot to try to promote utility programming specifically to businesses. And why are we looking at business energy use in general for CERTs and the state of Minnesota? And that's because about 20% of Minnesota's whole energy use is from the commercial sector. And tonight we'll be specifically looking at small and medium business types in Minnesota. I'm drawing from 2 very specific studies on small and medium commercial businesses in Minnesota. We'll be looking at these 6 business types, and specifically the top 4: office, grocery, food service, and retail. And even just at a glance here, you kind of don't have to look at every single number on the slide, but you can see it's a lot of businesses in the state of Minnesota, and that adds up to a lot of buildings, a lot of energy use, and a lot of energy saving opportunities. So speaking of that energy use coming out of the studies, this is showing electricity on the left and natural gas on the right, averaged out dollar amount of the energy use per square foot of these types of businesses, these 4 businesses. So you can see grocery and food service are heavier on the electricity use. Food service in particular is quite heavy on the natural gas use because of the cooking equipment. And you see a lot of variability too. The little gray dots are the individual businesses' data. And so especially in food service and grocery, you see a bigger spread of energy use. So it's kind of reflective of the variety within the grocery and food service sectors. So are there opportunities at your business? Probably. According to the survey completed in one of these studies, 45% of businesses hadn't done an energy project in the last 5 years, and 60% didn't have plans yet for the future. And I'm hoping tonight's talk will adjust your plans for the future, and you want to get in on some of these energy saving opportunities. From the business perspective, the reasons for making energy improvements primarily are to save money. So that makes sense. Oftentimes it's when equipment reaches the end of its life. It's part of a bigger remodel the business is going through, and for comfort reasons or the experience of their customers, in the case of retail with a whole bunch better lighting. Barriers to investment include money again, lack of capital, being able to implement the projects, and needing more specific information about payback and things like that. So where are these energy saving opportunities? This is just an overview of where you're gonna hear some more details about tonight. Again, these are like the 4 business types I'll be focusing on tonight. With retail and office, you're going to see the biggest energy saving opportunities by the size of the circle here in the graph in lighting and HVAC controls. And then in food service, it's going to be in the kitchen, of course, ventilation and cooking equipment. And over in grocery, it's going to be the refrigeration equipment. So let's take a journey together. This is kind of going from early learning stages on energy efficiency for your business to taking action, and as well as sharing your success. And you can really get in on this journey at any point that fits where you've already been. You can pop in and out at any point. We're going to kind of move from start to finish. And we really feel like you can share your success on any one of those levels too, to be an example to other businesses in your community. So first up, what's on your bill? Just gaining some general energy awareness, learning more about what you're being charged for can really help to motivate changes you might want to make. The Citizens Utility Board is a nonprofit that hosts utility bill clinics, and you residents and small businesses can bring their own utility bills, sit down for a 20-minute chat with someone, get some questions answered, and discuss money saving ideas from what they can see on your bill and learn about your business. And sure enough, Rochester EarthFest is hosting a utility bill clinic next week, so you can get in on that if you haven't yet participated in one of these. Another task you can do on learning is, just paused here a little bit, is seeing how you compare to other businesses. And that can be done through building benchmarking. You can also compare to yourself over time. That can be really beneficial with building benchmarking. So it's a way to track your energy use. You can see there's kind of a dashboard here to look at your data over time and identify ways to save. And actually the city of Rochester supports businesses in building benchmarking. So if you want to learn more about that, you can pop over to the city website, learn more about that there. Another step in learning is getting custom guidance, and that is through the form of energy assessments or audits. this is great. You get a second opinion on your space. Someone takes a walk through, they let you know what they see for energy saving opportunities, and you typically get a custom report, and it has recommendations like you see on the right here, usually listing out the project idea, the estimated annual savings, the total cost of that project, approximately how much time it takes to pay back, and whether there's any utility rebates available. The energy assessments or audits are sometimes provided by utilities for certain customer classes. If you're a Minnesota Chamber of Commerce member, Energy Smart will give you energy audit for free. Interchange offers free audits for places of worship and nonprofits. And RETAP, through the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, provides free energy audits to any entity, small.
Are you good, Alexis?
I'm back.
All right.
The meeting controls went away and my phone call dropped. So
Oh,
much
okay.
for my Murphy's Law idea. I had called in to try to avoid the internet dropping. And sure enough, the phone call dropped. So there you have it. Murphy's Law strikes again. The energy audits, though, the last bit is that you can get them through RETAP as well, through the state of Minnesota. So now we're moving into the taking action part of the journey. You can start out with no or low cost actions. So this could be employees' behavior or your business's operations. This includes things like simply setting the thermostat back during non-operating hours. So if you have a programmable thermostat, definitely check to see if it's been programmed. And if not, get it programmed. It's the biggest opportunity for savings in Minnesota, period. Then you could also take a look at HVAC maintenance. So changing out the filters on a regular basis, getting tune-ups. That again is by and away the biggest opportunity for savings. Dealing with your lighting, actually making sure it's turned off in unoccupied areas. The kitchen exhaust, same idea, make sure it's actually turned off when not cooking. Computer power management, almost every computer has these power saving settings that you can adjust into an energy saving mode. And then the last three on the right are all about refrigeration, making sure the lighting is off at night, and refrigeration maintenance as well. So the easiest thing you can do on your own is dust off the coils. Both refrigeration maintenance and HVAC maintenance, you can hire, this is the low cost part, hire a technician to come out and service your HVAC and refrigeration to really make sure the refrigerant is charged and set points are set accurately. And anytime you're paying for something for energy efficiency, you should think about your utility and contact them to see if there's a rebate available. Lots of times utilities have rebates available for tune-ups to HVAC for sure, and then maybe refrigeration as well. I rearranged what you saw in the last two slides into our 6 business types here, and showing you the top 3 opportunities for no cost, low cost savings. And I have in red text the thermostat setback because it shows up in every single business type as the biggest opportunity for these low cost, no cost energy savings. So if you take one thing away from this presentation tonight, check your thermostat. If it's programmable, get it programmed. All right, now we're moving into do-it-yourself low-cost devices. Here's that pesky thermostat showing up again. If you have a manual thermostat, you could consider switching that out with a new device to a smart thermostat, and that would get you the biggest savings. Smart thermostats have occupancy sensing, and they know when people are in the building. At minimum, you would want to get like a Wi-Fi communicating programmable thermostat, and that way you'd be able to interact with your heating and cooling needs of your business when you're not at the building, which is very handy. From the studies I was mentioning earlier, there's some dollar amounts you'll see from here on out, and those are representative of kind of that red dot, the average or typical business in Minnesota per business type. So by installing a smart thermostat, food service businesses could see $1,700 in savings. Retail, grocery, and office would see $500 to $800. When you go for a new thermostat, check that it's ENERGY STAR certified. All these certifications I'll be talking about are representative of testing for performance as well as energy savings. And check for utility rebates when you go to get any of these devices. Again, when you're paying for something, there's a chance you can maybe get a rebate for it. So on lighting, you'd be looking for this certification, DLC, Design Lights Consortium. And you could really do lighting on your own time and steadily for your overhead lighting, refrigeration case lighting. The tip I want to give there is that you really want to check for ballast compatibility or your ballast age. So with fluorescent lighting, there's ballasts up there that are helping to make it work. And if those are too old, they're already pretty far along in their life, you might be better off with a new fixture anyways. And then you want to make sure whatever LED lamp you get works with whatever type of ballast you have. But you'd see savings of 40% over your fluorescent tube lighting and have an 8 to 12 month payback for LED lighting. And next up is water efficient devices. So this would be looking for that WaterSense label to ensure performance and water savings. This helps to save hot water, which then saves energy and water too. But faucet aerators, so that's a little device that goes on the end of a faucet opening, and then the pre-rinse spray valves on commercial kitchen sinks in the dishwashing area. Hot water pipe insulation. This is pick it up at a regular hardware store, install it on the first 5 to 6 feet off of the water heater, and you're looking at savings right away. The last two low-cost devices I'm featuring are smart power strips and vending misers. Smart power strips can go onto, desktop computers with multiple monitors or several pieces of equipment that go together, and then you can turn off just one and it turns the rest of them off. Makes it easy on your turn down at night. And then vending misers use an occupancy sensor and dial back the vending machine's energy use. Equipment. So now we're getting into projects that are more in the several hundreds of dollars to several thousands of dollars. When you're doing that, you're likely hiring it out with contractors. So you're probably accustomed to this, but just my advice around this is to get at least 3 bids from contractors. Really gives you a sense of the different types of equipment that could be possible for your project, as well as itemized quote gives you a sense of what's going to be involved in the project and what to ask of each contractor. Make sure contractors are licensed, bonded, or certified for the work that they'll be performing. And here again, and especially you want to check with your utility before getting started, not only to see what kind of money you could get by installing a certain type of equipment, but making sure that that equipment doesn't have any specific requirements or the contractor doesn't have any eligibility requirements that would prevent you from getting your rebate. Here again, you'll be prioritizing ENERGY STAR equipment. I'm going to walk through and highlight some of the equipment related to those business types we've been talking about. This first one is advanced rooftop unit controls. And that, what you see on the right here is a rooftop unit. And what I'm talking about as the equipment that could be installed is a control device for operating the rooftop unit more efficiently. These rooftop units are typically on the roof of commercial buildings. And it's The number one way to save energy in the retail sector, the number 3 and for office, and number 4 for food service. And you can see those savings are sitting at around $2,000 per year. About half of the retailers out there have this as an opportunity. 1 in 4 offices have this as a great energy savings opportunity, and 2 out of 3 food service establishments could recognize good energy savings from this type of equipment. What's not showing here that I talked about earlier is rooftop unit tune-up, and that falls in at number 2 as the most energy saving opportunity for businesses, and that sits around $2,000 per year savings as well, with more than half of the businesses out there with that opportunity on a regular basis. Refrigeration is another equipment highlight I wanted to provide tonight. That's going to be in the grocery and convenience store business type. So all 3 of these are modifications or equipment that could be done with refrigeration, and they fall in the number 2, 3, and 4 slots for in the top 5. You could add doors to open cases. You could add anti-sweat heater controls or electronically commutated motors. And that's a mouthful, but just be sure to tell your contractor that you want an ECM. Just that's all you have to say. They'll know what you want, or an EC motor. All of these are getting you at, anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 of savings a year. And more than half of the grocery stores out there have these as a primary energy saving opportunity. And in case you were wondering what number 1 was in energy saving quantity, it's refrigeration maintenance. And the numbers for that are around like $4,500 savings per year. And again, half the groceries have that as an opportunity. In the kitchens for food service business types, the number 1 energy saving opportunity is demand controls for ventilation. This is adding controls to the hood in the cooking area that have it turn on as needed. Sometimes it'll even add a variable fan motor so that it can slow down or speed up depending on just how smoky it is, using sensors. And this, because it's saving so much on heating and cooling and electricity, you're looking at $5,000 of savings per year, and 2 out of 3 food service establishments would really benefit from this sort of measure. And a lot of hot water use in the kitchen. So aside from installing a pre-rinse spray valve, the next level you could go is updating your hot water heater to be more energy efficient. And 3 out of 4 restaurants would benefit from this measure. And the last one on the equipment features is just lighting time clocks. It's kind of a strange phrase, but basically have your lighting on timers so that office and retail settings, so that it's turning off when people are scheduled to not be there, when the business is closed. I think sometimes they get left on for the cleaning staff that might not come through until 11 or midnight. And so you've got 4 or 5 hours of lighting happening unnecessarily. And this is a great opportunity for 3 out of 4 office and retail buildings. The last stop in the energy efficiency journey is the remodel or capital investment phase. And this is where you're replacing major equipment like a full-blown HVAC replacement. Maybe you're replacing multiple pieces of the equipment I just talked about at once. And that will add up to a pretty penny. Or you could be doing a single equipment, but doing expansive upgrades. So an example of that is the refrigeration doors. They can cost about $125 per linear foot. And that you think about that across the whole grocery store, and that could really add up. Same with LED lighting. While it's only about $14 a lamp, you put it across 100 lamps in hundreds of lamps in your space, and you've got a big ticket project. So anytime you're remodeling in general, good to prioritize energy efficiency. And how might you pay for such a big project? PACE you could use. It's property assessed clean energy. It's a way to finance energy efficiency and renewable energy upgrades. It gets it's financing that's repaid as an item on the property tax assessment. And it's arranged in such a way that it's cash flow positive. So you're paying less for that property assessment add-on than you're saving in your energy bills. So you're coming out ahead. It could be a chance to just take care of some of that deferred maintenance and resolve any comfort issues in your buildings as well. The example I have on this slide is a newer PACE financed endeavor in Rochester of 3 new hotels. But here's just kind of a more modest example out of Edina, where a restaurant did lighting, the vent in the kitchen with controls, used utility rebates as well. Total project cost of about $40,000, and they're seeing $5,500 in annual savings. And the business owner says it's a no-brainer to participate in PACE to him. You can also finance renewable energy, like I mentioned, and electric vehicle charging with PACE, and you can learn all about how to get started on PACE at our website. There are a whole bunch of other energy efficiency opportunities for businesses too. If you see anything here, there has been a Minnesota study specific to these energy saving opportunities for businesses. So feel free to reach out if you are curious about any of these topics. And the last stop, if you will, on the journey is sharing your success. And like I said, you can really do that at any point. CERTS loves telling stories about clean energy successes in Minnesota. These are a couple examples from our website. And I would bet that these organizations along the bottom would also be happy to toot your horn about your business's success on energy efficiency. This is my contact info and Chris Myers if you'd like to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks, Alexis. All right, now we'll get ready to move to the next portion of the presentation. Josh, are you able to pull up the screen control? There we go. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Sorry, I got ahead of myself there. Okay. So everything Alexis mentioned, we actually have rebates for, which is really cool. So thank you, Alexis. That was an excellent presentation and breaking down the numbers and really kind of putting some facts behind it. We have a 1.5% annual energy efficiency savings goal. We've achieved that almost every year going back to 2002. Since our program started, we've saved over 80 megawatts of energy, and that's actually the equivalent of 2 of our West Side Energy Station power plants. So we've saved a tremendous amount of energy with our programs. Solar rebates. We're one of the few utilities in the area that have rebates for solar, and I'll talk about that here in a few slides later. And then as a utility, run a path to 100% renewable by 2030. So there's many things we're doing right now to prepare us for that. And energy efficiency is one of them for sure. Okay, so how can we help your business? So you can access your data through a customer portal. So you can get actually log in, look at your usage data. And then if you're doing like a benchmarking program, you can export that to Excel and upload into benchmarking. And then also with the rebates for electric savings and water savings as well. And I'll talk about that in a little more detail here as well. And then for our demand customers, we can help you out to look at some peak shaving opportunities. You know, if you're a facility that is paying a demand charge and you have a large demand charge, that's something we can download your meter data and take a look at that and let you know if there's any opportunities where you could potentially shave that peak down a little bit. So the big takeaway would be if it saves energy, we have a rebate. Top 3 most utilized programs would be number 1 for sure is lighting. That makes up most of our savings and most of the projects that we see. You know, that would be like if you're replacing a T8 light with an LED. We have a rebate for that. And then cooling equipment, typically that's replaced upon failure, but we do have rebates to incent customers to put in more efficient equipment. And then custom is kind of the everything else. So the next slide, I have a list of all our programs. And if there's something that you're installing or thinking about installing that doesn't quite fit one of our prescriptive programs, we can figure out the custom calculation. So will take the baseline of the most inefficient unit you could purchase and compare it to the most efficient, or whichever one you're thinking about installing, and actually pay a rebate on that difference. So that's a real popular program as well for us. So here's the list of rebate programs, and these can be found on our website. And if you actually go to the website and kind of click on each program, it'll break it down and show you the dollar amounts for each rebate. But just know, again, if it saves energy, we're gonna have a rebate for it. So just keep that in mind as you're working on your facility and looking at energy efficiency improvements. So solar has become incredibly popular in our area the last, I would say, probably 3 or 4 years, especially on the residential side, but we're also seeing increases in the commercial side as well. A couple things to note here: federal tax credit's been extended to 26% through 2022. And again, we have the rebate. It's $500 per system, minimum 2 kW system. And the one thing I want to say about commercial facilities, the buyback rates are going to vary depending on the size of your system. So you just want to make sure you size your system appropriately. And by that, you want to optimize self-usage. It's when energy starts coming back to the grid is where buyback rates can change and not be so favorable. So work with your installer or RPU when you're looking at sizing your system. And then water rebates. Yeah, look for that WaterSense label: WaterSense toilets, Energy Star clothes washers, rain barrels, and then irrigation controls as well. So all of our forms, rebate forms, can be found, as well as our customer portal can be found on our website. You actually have the quick link buttons on the bottom. You can get to that information pretty quickly. And then once you're in your customer portal, this is kind of what it looks like. And I have circled here in the bottom left, export to Excel. If you're tracking it your own way, your energy usage, or using benchmarking, that actually exports it in a really nice looking format, easy to read, easy to use. So keep in mind this resource is available. And then where it's circled power, we have an option for water as well, if you're tracking your water usage. And then interval data, I talked about that. This is for customers that pay that monthly demand charge. And in the example here, this particular customer, this is over the course of a month. Just that one day where you see the peak with the arrow pointed towards it, just that one day peak cost this customer $1,200. So it's a good idea to have us download that data and look at it for you and work with you and see, is there something that could have been done that day that that customer could have avoided that peak? Because your peak is based on your 15-minute max uses of energy. So if you can stagger equipment, to cycle things on and off at different times, that can save a lot of money. Sometimes there's things that, businesses can do, and other times, unfortunately, it kind of is what it is, but it's certainly worth taking a look and seeing if there's any opportunities for improvement there. So just some closing remarks. So there's 4 of us that work on the commercial team that work with business customers. Use us as a resource. Utilize the incentive programs. The forms may look a little daunting to fill out, and it seems like they're kind of a pain, but we're there to help you fill out those forms and get that information in, and get you your rebate money. And if possible, manage your peaks. Have us take your look at your meter data and see if there's anything you can do there to keep that cost down. And really, whatever you do, just take a strategic approach. Think about how you're using energy in your facility, how you're tracking it, opportunities for equipment replacement, and whenever you're buying equipment, just be thinking about that. Is there something out there that's more efficient? And if so, check with your utility, check with us, and see if we have a rebate. So here's those of us that work on the energy efficiency programs. There should have been actually a gray bar over Jan. That's Jan Blevins in the middle there. She's leading us, and we got a new person coming the first part of May. But this is the team of people that will work with you and help you meet your goals and answer any questions you might have. So with that, that's my presentation. Thank you. And I will hand it off to Jen.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, Jen, whenever you're ready, feel free to take it away.
Let's see if I can balance this here. Ah. Okay. Oh, yep. It goes a little quick. Sorry about that. So I'm Jen Kimmen, and I work for Minnesota Energy Resources. And just like RPU, Mark offers programs to increase your business efficiency and rebates to help with those upfront costs on energy efficient equipment. So we start here with our long list of prescriptive rebates. This gets a little bit more expansive, but this touches on a lot of the things Alexis brought up, those thermostats. Anytime you buy a smart thermostat, you'll get a very nice rebate. And then prescriptive rebates are like a flat rate. So these type of rebates are cash back flat rates, such as high efficiency food service equipment like combi ovens. That would be $1,000. Or if you put in a new fryer, that would be $700. And then custom rebates, like Josh said, kind of encompasses everything else. So it's just a tailored project that doesn't fall under prescriptive equipment, but it is still saving natural gas. We would review the project to make sure it's cost effective, and the payback is at least 1 year. And rebate would be $10 per decatherm saved. So I'll touch on a couple examples here as we move on. Oh, sorry about that. Touchy. Okay, I wanted to show you a couple examples here. So first off, we'll start with Quick Trip. These are maybe projects of customers that you might be familiar with. So Quick Trip actually did a prescriptive and custom rebate recently. They had 2 Henny Penny fryers. That was a $1,400 rebate that saved them 96 decatherms, and a kitchen exhaust with the demand controls, which Alexis also touched on that. There are quite a few kitchens actually doing this now. That was another $1,200 rebate. And then that ABC, that Ability Building Community, they did a really cool custom rebate. They added air curtains for their entrances. So if you picture the building, you know, and it's 30 below zero and you're opening that front door, it just sucks all that heat out and lets all that cold air in, and then the building has to reheat. So the air curtains is that nice barrier of heat, kind of when you walk into a lot of places have this now. I was recently at a Target, not to throw a name out there, but you walk in and it's a warmer area as you walk in, and then get to the next door that opens, and it saves a considerable amount of money. So they ended up saving obviously on their monthly bill, but they also had a total rebate of $7,600. So that was a nice project for them. So benchmarking, obviously, we're talking a lot about today, and it's very important in the city of Rochester, and we're really excited for it. We've seen a lot of great feedback from customers. So to add to that, I just wanted to touch a little bit on Energy Star certification on that. So that's kind of the capstone to energy efficiency improvements that you are making to your building. And when you benchmark your energy in Portfolio Manager and your score is 75 or higher, you're eligible to be certified. And a score of 75 means your building performs better than at least 75% of buildings nationwide. So if your building is already efficient, you can jump straight to Energy Star certification. And you would apply directly through EPA, and we could help you do that. Minnesota Energy has a rebate of $750, which covers about 50% of those certification fees. The benchmarking rebate was specifically designed to help and support customers in communities like Rochester. So once you benchmark your building, you're eligible for another 25% rebate on top of the rebates that we've already discussed. So if you put in new smart thermostats, or you put in that, ventilation system, you're going to get another 25% rebate on top of that. You definitely don't need to certify in order to qualify for the benchmarking rebate, but we do encourage you to do both. Then we have additional rebates and programs. These are more unique programs to help you work towards those savings. Top of the list is another one Alexis brought up, is those energy audits. They're very important. We've seen amazing results from these. We also sponsor building operations certification training program that's run by Midwest Energy Efficiency Alliance. The training is for commercial building facility managers and their staff. The training would cover like building operation, maintenance, in-depth ways to look and manage a facility, great tips and technologies that are constantly changing. I'm sure Josh could attest to lighting just changing as fast as they are coming up with rebates for it. There is a class beginning this October, which will be virtual, and the class is $1,200. And Merck offers a great scholarship rebate of $650. And I know RPU offers additional rebates on a tiered level. So definitely, if you're interested, make sure and contact your utility again. It's also worth mentioning that our multifamily program used to only allow centrally metered buildings, but for 2021, we now invite individually metered buildings to take part in the program. And there is a bonus incentive for those site evaluations as well as low income housing. So if you have questions, you can reach out to me or anybody on our team. The easiest way to look at rebates is going to cashrebatesnow.com. That lists everything in black and white. It's very easy to get to. But if you have questions, feel free to give me a call. That's my number and email, and I'm sure we will be sharing this PowerPoint presentation. So thank you.
Great, thanks everyone. I'll stop sharing there. And yeah, we got time for questions if there are any from the folks tuning in. And we got the right people here to try to answer those too.
I have a question, and maybe there's an answer for it, maybe there's not. But when you're starting to try and put together a new business, and there are a lot of places in everywhere that are turning over old businesses and are becoming new things, and by the time you get through trying to get your installation in and all the features you want, and you're putting in, I'm thinking specifically right now a lot about restaurants because they kind of come and go and they turn over and they take over old spaces. And is there any one-stop place where you can get advice about what the highest, bang for the buck kind of thing is to do in a place that you're retrofitting? For example, are you better off throwing a bunch of money into the installation, or is there someone who can tell you that your payoff is going to be better if you just do X, Y, and Z with your refrigeration and your hood system or something like that? Just because I feel like once you get your loan for your business, that could just explode into all of that going into just your energy costs, depending on what your space is. Is there any resource for that?
I do think an energy auditor would entertain that conversation. Like they would come through the space before you've done too much and take a look at what's existing and help like your shell needs work before you start putting equipment in here, or it's pretty good and then to move on into those other layers. I think that an energy audit might be the best starting point, but Jen or Josh, I don't know if you guys have any ideas. I do see sometimes like something called energy design assistance with utilities. Would that be a good fit for something like this?
I guess with the EDA, that's typically for larger new construction type projects, maybe large retrofits, but like a restaurant, probably not. And I guess the restaurant, it might be a little bit difficult too, because, are they going to use it the same as the equipment relatively? Are they changing out like cooking equipment, or are they leaving it the same? So from an electric perspective, I think kind of how they're operating the restaurant might have more of an impact than, I don't think they're going to have an appetite to change a lot of equipment out right away, especially if they're new. But I guess, lighting would be a big one right away. I was going to mention too, like with Jen and Merck and RPU, there's a lot of times that we'll go to site and to customers' facilities and visit them together. So kind of a one-stop shop in a way where we work pretty well together like that.
I would second
Then,
that. I
of
was
course,
thinking
we
the same thing.
parse out, but sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I apologize for interrupting, but I would agree with that. I think that the utilities work really well together, and we want to see the customer succeed. So we would come in. As a matter of fact, we are working on a fitness center right now where both of us have weighed in on what equipment is dated. It turns out they had an audit, several years ago and hadn't changed anything out of that. So by working together, we've been able to review that and say, okay, this is where I would start because you're going to see the most savings out of this. We happen to have the audit. So kind of working all together. I know that there are, like Alexis brought up, that there is with those audits, there's not just rebates from the utility, but there's also help out there for governmental customers or school or nonprofits. There's a lot of available help. And then for restaurants, I mean, I'd be happy to drop in with Josh or whoever. So.
Thank you.
Great question.
Any other questions for our esteemed panel? I guess I have one last question before we let you all go. This might be more relevant for Josh and Jen. Based on your understanding of the Rochester area and the businesses, what do you see as some of the biggest opportunities here in our city for energy efficiency for businesses?
Well, there's so much new construction. So outside of the new construction and the big blowing up of that, I think that there's a lot of underutilized tune-ups that happen. Folks will think that it's just a maintenance thing to just get done every year, and then they just forget about it. They just don't follow up with it, even though it's a pretty simple paperwork press of a button on our end. And I would assume RPU is pretty quick too on any kind of tune-ups that they offer. I would think is the lowest hanging fruit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think the tune-ups, and then, I mean, lighting, it's kind of boring, but it's true. There's still a lot of inefficient lighting out there, and very quick payback and great rebates. So that's kind of a boring answer, but I think it's still true.
I think too, if you don't mind me adding in, Kevin,
Yeah.
is like the next step. So like lighting controls probably. So once you actually go LED, it still would be great to make sure the lighting is only being used as much as it's needed, using daylight as much as you can, and then occupancy sensing. Certainly those two studies from the card grants said the maintenance, it's amazing how that still is a very high return on your investment of keeping up with that. I have a question, if you don't mind. I brought up the Rochester benchmarking earlier, and it came up in both the utility presentations. And if a business is interested in that, what's their, interested in joining the Rochester effort? Like, do they have to wait till a certain time to get in on it? Can they join at any point throughout the year?
We'll pretty much help them at any point in the year, though we have kind of set aside time right now, actually, and on through much of May, to work with any business organization in Rochester to set up a profile and help them walk through that process. So emailing me, Kevin Bright at dmceda.org, or Lauren Jensen, who's also on the line here, ljensen@rochestermn.gov. We can get them started, and I see Lauren just dropped the link to sign up for a time for any technical assistance in the chat here. So good plug, appreciate it. All right. Are there any final questions from anyone? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right. Well, we really appreciate it. Josh, Jen, and Alexis, this is really great information, and our community will be better for it. So thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
and have a great evening.
Thanks, you too.
All right.